Welcome back again, YouTube. Hope you're all well. This is welcome back to the channel, and thanks for staying with me. I appreciate if you could give this this video a like, as with all of my videos really, but this one in particular. So this one is going to be a review, not quite a review, a comparison. A comparison of 3 knives that I'm particularly fond of, a manufacturer of knives that I'm particularly fond of, who I think make good quality products. In terms of their knives, they're well thought through. They're a good solid tool steel, ranging from sort of K720, high carbon steel, N690 stainless, cobalt enriched. But before I go on and talk about the 3 knives I've got to compare today, I will just say that I've got 3 knives, 2 of which I own myself, excuse me, and 1 I've kindly been loaned by the Bushcraft store, who is the company, the manufacturer in question. I already own the Grizzly Bushcraft survival knife, and I also own the Timberwolf Mark II. The Timberwolf Mark II is fairly new to me. You'll see it today, and you'll see actually the blade looks a little bit scruffy, a little bit dirty, and that is because it's being used on the trip that I'm currently on, and I've been using it quite extensively really, just to put it through its paces. The Grizzly I've had for a long time, and that's well and truly been put through its paces, and you'll have seen that in most of my other videos. In fact, the 3rd knife that I have is the TBS Boar, and a special edition version, and I'd just like to say I'm not affiliated to them, but massive thanks to the Bushcraft store for loaning me this knife so that I can make this comparison between the 3 of them. And I think what I want to offer you is really is a feel for each one of them. I mean, they're not insignificant costs, so I think if you can get a feel for each one of them through a video by way of a comparison, then you may be better versed when it comes to sort of choosing the one that is right for you. They're not all going to be right for everyone, and they're not all going to be a great fit for everyone, but they've all got their sort of unique characteristics, and I think that's what I'm going to talk you through today. And in addition to the knives, of course, there's the leather work as well. Really high quality leather work that come with these knives in a range of options as well. And actually I've got 3 of those sort of variations with me today, which I'll also talk through, and I'm also going to show you. So stick with me, and I'll bring you back for the knives, and we'll go through each one in turn. So these are the 3 blades that I've got to show you. We've got the Grizzly, the TBS Grizzly, in its sort of I like to call it the all-in-one package sheath. So we've got the Falcon DC4, I think it is, and the DC4 sharpening stone, that is, and the my own ferro rod. And then next to that, so this is the big brother, by the way. Next to that, we've got the new Timberwolf Mark II in its dangler style sheath. The sheath, by the way, doesn't come with this. This is off a Castron dangler, which I keep on my belt. And the final sheath, the sort of the basic version of the all-in-one, I guess, the TBS Boar special edition, without the additional holder for the for the sharpening stone and the ferro rod. I'm going to talk through the design of each knife first, and then we're going to move on to the leather work. And I think what I'll probably do is look at the Grizzly first. And I'm going to look at the Grizzly first because the Bushcraft store called the Grizzly Bushcraft survival knife, and that is because it is a beast of a knife. It is huge, it's heavy, and it definitely won't suit everyone. I like it. I've got great big shovel hands, so for me it feels really comfortable in my hand. For more sort of detailed work, smaller stuff, I tend to carry a neck knife, especially if I've got a Grizzly, just so that I can get through the detailed stuff with a smaller, finer blade. Should say that all three of these knives have all got full tang drop point Scandi blade. Of course, the benefit of a Scandi blade is that you can roll the bevel straight up onto a sharpening stone. I don't know if you can see, you probably can't see that, but essentially flat knife down, roll it up onto the bevel. There's no secondary bevel, and sharpen away, and you'll get a great edge every time. I mean, these things, all three of them, are delivered razor sharp, and I found them to be really easy as long as you maintain the edge. None of my knives yet have had much by way of sharpening. I also carry a strop on a piece of backed board, and mostly strop my blades, and I find that is plenty enough. That's all it needs to keep a really good edge. So this is the Grizzly. As you can see, really good fit in my hand. It feels comfortable, it feels sturdy. We've got curly birch handle. It does also come in the Turkish walnut. This particular model, this one is made from the K720 high carbon tool steel. It's got a 5-inch blade, as I say, drop point full tang. It is 6mm thick. And the handle is 4 7/8 inches long for our American buddies, and that is for the rest of us 125mm blade and a 120mm handle. So, and good swollen scales as well. You know, it doesn't feel, it feels wholesome in the hand. Very confident blade. It's got a good finger guard, less chance you catching your finger was sort of, you know, indexing, and along the back as well. All three of the blades have got this sort of 90-degree spine. So whilst they say, you know, don't do it, great for a ferro rod. And in fact, the Grizzly, I think the Grizzly is the only one of the three also that has the slight indentation at the top of the spine there. I like to use it as a thumb, sort of a place to put my thumb if I'm, you know, sort of creating feather sticks or whatever. But it's actually, I'm led to believe, for your ferro rod to sit in nicely, like so. As I say, this is not necessarily a review, so I'm not going to start going about hacking away, battening, making feather sticks and what have you. All that'll come perhaps in another time, in a long-term review. But that's not, as I say, that's not what today's about. Today is really about just showing you the difference between the three blades, and hopefully through my video you can sort of see the quality really, and the way that they are made. Let's see if I can squeeze them all on you. No, I don't think I'm going to be able to. I'll put them like that for now, so I can leave them out so you can see them. So this is the newest one for me. As I say, this has been just very well used over the last sort of 24-hour, 36-hour period. So it does now need a bit of sort of care, and I will tend to do that if I'm out in the field, sort of at the end of every day, or at the very very least every other day. So this comes in, as I say, this comes in the lovely leather dangler sheath. And I was, when I bought my Grizzly, I was all for the all-in-one package sort of sheath. But as I say, as long as you maintain your blade, all it requires is a stropping. And I do keep a ferro rod in my tinder pouch. So I'm sort of coming round to the idea that I prefer the dangler style sheath. That's just personal preference. I mean, everyone is going to be different, and everyone is going to want to use a different kind of sheath, I'm sure. But this is the one that sort of works for me. And don't forget, as I say, that loop doesn't come with it. This is off a Castrom keyring belt dangler thingy. Sorry, I don't know what the proper word is for that. So this is the blade itself, and this is the TBS Timberwolf Mark II. I'm just trying to get that in shot. Let me just move you around a little bit here, actually, so you're more with me. That's better. So this is the TBS Timberwolf Mark II. Beautiful blade, beautiful blade. I've opted to take it in the Turkish walnut. I wanted something a little bit different from the Grizzly, and immediately this feels different in the hand. As I say, I've got big hands. This is smaller. It feels immediately lighter. I mean, there is a significantly smaller blade. It's more sort of a bushcraft-esque type blade, I guess you would say. But they have made some subtle, I guess, design changes. I wouldn't say improvements, but some design changes over the bore, and that is the ricasso and choil. This sort of area here, they've dropped and made slightly deeper. The finger guard, longer rather. The finger guard is deeper, so there's less chance of the index finger slipping over. That's just sort of pushing into a cut. And all in all, it still feels, even though it's a much smaller knife, for me, it still feels comfortable in the hand. It's still got these nice ergonomic swollen scales. And I'm really just so pleased with it at the moment. Same bevel again, same drop point, full Scandi bevel, really easy to sharpen. As I say, haven't touched a sharpening. This one is new to me, so I haven't touched a sharpening stone yet, but I imagine it'll be just as easy to sharpen. A few strops every now and again, a bit of oil on the blade and on the handle, of course, to give it the shine, to maintain it. And I'm sure they'll work perfectly well for me. So this is as I say, this is the Turkish walnut. It does also come in curly birch and black micarta, and this one again is made of the K720 high carbon steel. It's got a 4mm thick spine. Again, 90-degree angles, great for ferro rod. The other thing these 90-degree angles are good for, of course, and I do use them a lot for this, if you're prepping wood for cooking and you want to scrape the bark off, tend not to use the blade too much for that. Using the spine is really good for scraping bark off wood. It's 4.5 inches long in blade. 115mm, and it's 4 3/4 long in handle, 120mm. And as I say, generally overall, I'm really I'm really impressed with this so far. I'll get you in close there. Yeah, really impressed with that. Happy with that one. As I say, I'll put them together there, and I'll give you a close-up shot in a sec, and you can really see the difference in the two. And this then is the TBS Boar Special Edition. So this has got a particularly special kind of steel, and so this is, for me, this is unused. This is the one that the Bushcraft store have kindly loaned to me. Very, very grateful to them for that. And this is in the sort of the sort of standard, if you like, the standard sheath. I think is how you would call it for these particular blades. And it comes with a nice reassuring click of the button, the popper. And out comes this beautiful little thing. Now, at first glance, it looks very similar, of course, to the Timberwolf. You can see that it still has the same sort of natural sweep on the handle to make it sort of quite wonderfully ergonomic. Doesn't have such a deep finger guard, and the ricasso and choil isn't quite so pronounced. If you know, it's a very, very slight sweep in it. But you know, I mean, that's sort of neither here nor there really. I'm sure I haven't really used this too much. I've had a little play around with it at home, but I've not really used it out in the field. However, the handle is almost the same size. In fact, it is the same size. The blade is just slightly smaller, just by 5mm smaller. So, but I mean, in daily use, I don't think you'll notice that. You've got the same sort of 90-degree shaping on the spines. Again, good for bark, good for ferro rod. Same drop point, full tang, Scandi bevel. All in all, a really great knife. I mean, I would be very tempted by this one, just I think purely because one is special edition, and two, it comes with the this one is made from the premium N960 stainless steel, which is cobalt enriched. So incredibly strong steel, and incredibly light maintenance as well. Obviously, with it being stainless, it's less likely to develop sort of a patina or corrosion. However, it is said that stainless is harder to sharpen. I mean, maybe it is, but again, I find that with the other stainless knives that I've had in the past, I find that the regular stropping is all that is required really, and that gives you sort of the perfect razor sharp sort of shave that you expect in a blade, you know. That is removing hair, and that's how it's delivered, pretty much just like that. Again, I think this comes in the this is the stabilized curly birch handle, but again, I'm pretty sure the bow, I think, comes in the Turkish walnut definitely, and I'm sure it also comes in the black micarta as well. So again, you have sort of options there. We'll just have a quick look at the sheaths. The dangler is pretty much, it is what it is. And incidentally, the boar also fits into this dangler sheath. So if you were to buy one of these knives, or even two of these knives, and you wanted to keep the same sheath, obviously the Grizzly won't fit in the dangler because this is designed for the smaller blades. but there is that option of using the same sheath for several for one or more of your blades. These sheaths also fit the sheaths you can buy separately, the leatherwork, and interestingly they also fit, I'm not sure about the dangler actually, but I'm pretty sure it will do on account of the fact that the boar fits in it. The boar also fits in this, and this will take a Mora. It'll take most of the Mora style knives as well, so if you just want the leatherwork and you want to continue to use your Mora, you can do that as well. The other great thing about these sheaths, not the dangler speaks for itself, it dangles, but these sheaths, they can be worn horizontally on the belt. Now if, like me, you do sort of a lot of canoeing, then sometimes having a knife hanging down isn't ideal, and you want something horizontal on your belt that you can sort of get to really easily, and in that respect this sheath works really well. I mean, they're made from really high quality leather, you know. As with all other sort of leather work, they need to be maintained. You need to oil them regularly, and I would also say one thing that is worth pointing out, the combination of carbon steel and leather work, if you happen to be in a salty environment, spending a lot of time at the seafront, you know, that sort of foraging-y type environment, or if that's just where you live, that's where you spend most of your time camping, exploring, wild camping, whatever, you are going to have a really tough time of it trying to keep these carbon steel blades corrosion free, because the moisture and the salt is going to build up inside the sheath. That's very hard to stop, and inevitably then the knife goes in the sheath, and it's swimming in that salt, which is screaming out to corrode a carbon steel blade. Much better option, I would say personally, if you're in that sort of environment, to go for the stainless option, and that's going to last you for much longer, and it's going to be so much less maintenance. There we go. That's the three blades I'd set out to compare. It's hard for me, if you were to ask me what my favourite is at the moment, I would say that's really hard decision to make. Obviously the Boar and the Timberwolf are comparative. The Grizzly is a machine. The Grizzly will hack like an axe. The Grizzly will batten all day long. All three of them will batten. The Grizzly though especially will batten, it will hack like an axe. As a general rule, if I'm taking the Grizzly out with me, I won't take an axe. I'll have the Grizzly in my neck knife, because the Grizzly is a monster, and it'll just about do everything realistically that an axe can do. If I need to do something, if I know I need the axe, of course I'll take it, but generally I won't bother. I often will take the axe if I've just got the Boar, if I've just got the Timberwolf, or indeed if I had the Boar I probably would take the axe as well. But it really sort of depends on what my plans are. But so as I say, it's a comparison of all three, but the Grizzly really is in a field of its own. The true comparison, I guess, is really between the Boar and the Timberwolf. As I say, I've not used the Boar a great deal, but I have had opportunity now to use the Timberwolf, and the feel in my hand, I feel more comfortable holding the Timberwolf. It just feels to me as though the handle has been thought through a little bit more. It's a development on the bow handle, I think, and it just feels that little bit more sturdy in the hand. I mean, because I've got larger hands, I mean like quite large hands, if I were designing this, I would make the scales, I think, I would swell them out more again, but that's just because it'd be a better fit in my hand. But I imagine for most people, both of these options are going to be a really, really comfortable fit. So there you have it, guys. I hope you find that useful, and if I can answer any questions for you, drop them in the comments below, or jump over to my website and drop me an email if you prefer. Find me on Instagram or on Facebook. If you prefer communication in those ways, feel free to do any one of those. But I'm happy to help in any way that I can. As I say, I've had hands-on with all of them. I've got a good feel for them, and I generally feel as though I could probably point you in the right direction if you told me that you wanted a TBS knife but you didn't know which one to go for. They have got a range of other ones as well, by the way. You'll need to jump onto their website to see those. But I'm going to leave it there. As I say, hope you've enjoyed this comparison kind of review, and I'll see you for the next video. Thanks, guys.